Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we have Tommy Martinotti and Andrew Quinn. And your Boston Celtics won against the Clippers with a nail biter with a final score of 118 to 121. Uh, Initially, great game. I mean, the Boston Celtics had the lead for majority of it, and it looked like the Celtics were just gonna, go out there and dust the Clippers. However, the Clippers fought back right at the end, but you guys know the drill. Initial thoughts. We'll go Andrew, Tommy, me. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was it was obviously a close game. I thought the Celtics at first were gonna just kind of steamroll and run away with it, but as we saw, the Celtics really let the Clippers kind of carve back a win and really make it close down the stretch. But thankfully, Brown, he decided to step up and really prove that showed us or not showed us. We know what he's capable of. That's not what I'm trying to say. He just took it a step up. He wasn't performing as well in the beginning of the game, but he found a way to gain momentum and really put the points in when it mattered and help them get a win. I was really happy too with Pritchard. At the beginning of the season, he was struggling hitting his shots, but now he's breaking potential. He's almost breaking records, shooting the three very well right now. So that's really good to see out of a guy that has struggled early on. So very happy with the win. I think it's good to see the Celtics withstood the Clippers kind of coming back. They didn't let it get him. They didn't let it get to them. They held them off and got the win ultimately. So not every game is gonna be perfect, but it's good to see that they were persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a good win for the Celtics. The Clippers, similar to the Celtics, with higher expectations going into this year and having a bit of a slower start. But it was good to see Pritchard get really hot from three and kind of carry the load offensively for this team early on in the game. And then to see Jordan Walsh again get some big time minutes throughout the game, taking James Harden on the defensive end and making things hard for Harden. Specifically in that first half, Harden had a slow start to the game. Obviously, in the second half, we saw him get to the free throw line a lot more, which allowed him to get more comfortable and make plays for others and himself. He sort of knocked down the three ball, which allowed the Clippers to get back into it. But luckily, the Celtics made enough plays down the stretch to get the win. And I think where we're at right now with this team and their struggles with those close games, it's just good to see them pull this one out, even if it was definitely ugly. Later in that second half, where we're probably all thinking that, oh no, here we go again. They're going to find a way to lose this game where they've been up for majority of the game. We saw that with pretty much both of the Sixers losses that we lost. The Celtics felt like they were in control for most of those games and, let some guys hit shots for the opposing team and experiencing those tough losses and seeing them get a pretty important win to get back to 500. And now you have Brooklyn coming up this week. Hopefully you can get those two. So hopefully we can start to see some more consistency in the win column for this team. But just a good win. Good to see Jordan Walsh continue to grow and get valuable minutes out there. I think that's important, and he's really stepping up as that guy that we've kind of needed to see. At the beginning of the year, it was looking like it was going to be Minot, but I think Walsh just gives you more from the defensive end and just being more versatile. So Jordan Walsh is a guy that I'm been excited about since a week and a half ago, and he's just stepped into this role and he's really taking every minute on the court and taking advantage of the opportunity that he's getting. So it's exciting to see.
Yeah, I agree. It was just a phenomenal team win. I mean, you had three guys, four guys, five guys actually, sorry, in double figures, and ultimately a great team win. And you're seeing guys starting to step up and stay connected. I mean, we've seen this for a while now, but ultimately, I loved the team basketball. And I also wanted to shout out Derek White. I think it was you, Quinny, who talked about, Peyton Pritchard struggling from earlier this season, but Derek White's also another name. And I mean, he had a phenomenal game, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, I'm just very impressed that guys are starting to find their identity. And I've been impressed with Joe Mazzulla. I mean, I'm still questionable about like some of the minutes he gives. Like for example, Simons only had 12 minutes, but he didn't really he wasn't producing. So you're gonna go with a hot player, and that's how you get wins. And ultimately, I wanted to say this too. There was parts in the game where you said too, Tommy, like towards the end of the game, I was like, when Harden was hitting those threes, I was like, all right, we either lost this game or we're going into OT. But the Celtics still managed to find a way to win this game. And that's what impressed me most, because you look at the Boston Celtics, even as far as last year, if they were in that situation, they 9 out of 10 times lose that game when it's close like that and intense at the end of the game. But very impressed to see them, go out with that win and play hard. But a question I do want to ask is, and Tony, you already said it, was with Minot, do you guys just see like him kind of fizzling out then? Do you think that he's still this guy who is a steal for the Boston Celtics, or do you guys not see this guy being
I still think he's a steal for this team because of his contract. He's making $5 million over the course of 2 years. And I think we're going to see a lot of, depending on matchups, we'll see Minot more in games and not so much other games. And I think that's what we see with Missoula randomly. Like we saw Simons play only a limited amount of minutes in that first game against Orlando, and then Minot didn't get too many minutes. And it was 2 games ago. I forget which game it was. But I think it's going to depend on matchups and kind of whoever has the hot hand right now. But I think Minot is still going to win this team some games with, just the way he plays, his scrappiness, his ability to defend and rebound on the defensive end. And he just plays really hard. So I think we're still going to see a lot of positive moments from Minot. Maybe his minutes aren't going to be as consistent as we once thought. But I'm not really worried about Minot. I still think he's going to produce a lot for this team, and he's going to play some viable minutes going throughout this year. So I'm not too concerned about Minot. If there was anybody I was to be concerned about, it would probably be Sam Hauser. Again, no points last night, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. So he's a guy that I feel like I'm talking about almost every recap. He's kind of just been a huge disappointment in my eyes this year, especially, with that Tatum out, losing Holiday, losing Porzingis, losing Horford. Hauser, who's kind of more an experienced guy now on this roster, is kind of expecting him to take a leap forward this year and give us some more consistent minutes off the bench, but we've yet to see any of that, really. Besides, I think that first game against the Knicks where he was knocking down threes and keeping us in it, he's been extremely quiet since. So if there's one guy to be worried about in my eyes off the bench or on this team in general, it would have to be Sam Hauser for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely Sam Hauser, and I don't want to be a dead horse because it's continuously talked about. But if he's not hitting his shots, man, where are you using him? He's can be a liability on defense. I feel like we repeat this all the time, but that's kind of where I'm at with Hauser. And a guy like Minot, it's gonna take a little while for him to offensively produce, but I do like the intangibles that he brings from the defensive end. And I agree with Tommy. You just got to use him in matchups, and sometimes he's gonna play well, sometimes he's gonna play. It just depends. But we got a lot of wings, so we can really kind of mix and match and feed the hot hand when it counts.
Yeah, I agree. But Andrew, if you wanted to get into quarters for us, because this game was kind of a blowout for the Celtics at times, but then it got close in that second half. So if you want to give us quarters.
Yeah, I can do that. So in the first quarter, Boston won 37-30. In the second, they won 26-19. So they're really taking this lead. In the third, it was 36-7 Clippers. So the Clippers bounced back. And I think sometimes the Celtics have a problem with starting off the third a little slow and a little sluggish. And that's where teams find the way to kind of creep back in. And honestly, it's like the first quarter when you set the tone, and then the second quarter when you have the second half when you have another opportunity to set the tone. You want to be the one that throws that first punch so you have that momentum throughout the entire game. And so letting the Clippers kind of get that lead early on, that's something that it happens. It's going to happen, but Celtics needs to do a better job at that, in my opinion, of throwing that first punch out of the half so then you can have kind of that control for the rest of the game and get off on the right foot. Because you don't want to be always crawling back and trying to, pick yourself up. You want to be able to play consistent. Something I've always talked about. They need to be consistent throughout. And then in the fourth, the Clippers won 33-31. So pretty neck and neck. But with the final, as you can see, 121-118. So the Celtics managed to pull away with the win, but they sometimes play with their food a little too much.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I do have to say though, but again, I mentioned it earlier, like last year you would see this team blowing that lead. Like I remember it was one against Utah, and it was one where they led by 27 and they still managed to get the win last year, but that was one where it was such an ugly win from the Celtics. However, I think this is kind of what the Celtics are going to play against. I mean, the Clippers haven't been such a great team this season. And do you guys think it's safe to say that this is kind of where the Celtics are going to be at this season and the Clippers being their competition? Would you say that? Or
I just think for the Celtics to win, 45, 50 games, if that, a lot of those wins are going to have to be ugly wins. We're not going to see
you
a lot
can't.
of 30-point blowouts like the past few seasons. And honestly, a lot of the Celtics win this year have been like 20-plus point blowout wins. But if they're going to want to stay consistent and, fight for that 6th or 5th seed in the East, which I think the East is wide open, then they're going to have to pull out these kind of ugly wins where – they could have won the game by 10, 15, but instead they win by 3 because they let Harden and guys around Harden start making shots and start turning the ball over and stuff like that. But this team's gonna have to win some ugly games this year for them to be successful. So
Yeah, I agree. This is not a season where we can't be complaining over ugly wins because let's face it, a win this year, like last year and the year before, we were blessed to be able to nitpick over wins. But now it's like, all right, the Celtics won the game. Like we're happy about it. But anything you have to say along those lines, though, Andrew?
No, yeah, you just got to set realistic expectations with this team and not trying to, like I think I've repetitively said it, and not try to make them into something they're not, and realize where their talents are, what they have in their arsenal, and just use that to your advantage, right? It's not going to be pretty, but how do the Celtics take advantage of those games? Make it scrappy. They need to maybe play a little more of a messy game that kind of throws teams off sometimes, right? It's just finding ways to beat teams no matter how you do it, right? And the Celtics are in that position, and as fans and as people that are analyzing the game, there just needs to be realistic expectations behind it.
Totally. But Tommy, if you wanted to get into points for us,
yeah.
because on the stat sheets, this was a very interesting game points wise.
Yeah, so a few guys for the Clippers that stood out. Of course, James Harden. He had 37 points, 9 of 22 from the field in 37 minutes, 8 assists, along with 7 rebounds. I feel like Harden always plays well against the Celtics, back to his Houston days. And then in Philadelphia, we saw him have some great postseason performances against Boston. So, whenever James Harden's on the court, I feel like he's still a great player in this league. And they did a good job of limiting him in that first half. But then in the second half, they got into the bonus early in the third and fourth quarters, and that's when Harden really started to get comfortable after knocking down a few free throws. The basket looked a lot wider in his eyes. But besides that, the Celtics did a good job of limiting everyone else behind him. John Collins had a solid game with 17 points. Zubac, who's a solid center, had 16, but I think Keita did a solid job on him, along with Garza. Then going into the Celtics, Jaylen Brown leading all scorers again with 33 points. Not his most efficient shooting night, but I like to see him shooting 33 shots a game. You're noticing he knows he has to take a lot more shots this year because, again, he is easily our best player. He's been our best scorer all year. And 13 rebounds for Brown. So you're seeing him attack the glass. Obviously, the Celtics are not a great rebounding team this year, so it's good to see our best player get in there on the boards and get that double-double for us. And then Brown was a plus 22 on the plus minus, so that's great to see. When our best players on the court were normally up in the game, so that plus 22 is something that stood out to me. Another guy for the C's, Peyton Pritchard, 30 points tonight, 10 to 16 from the field, 8 of 13 for three. He really carried the load offensively in that first half of the game, giving that Celtics that early first half lead. Derek White, solid game for his standards, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. I mean, that's the perfect stat line you want to see out of a guy like Derek White, creating shots for others, rebounding the basketball. And, he's starting to find his rhythm from three a little bit better now, 4 for 8 from three. He was also a plus 20 on that plus minus. So, again, good to see. Keita, 14 points, 9 rebounds. I don't think it wasn't a bad game for a stat line perspective, but he wasn't very efficient from the field from a center perspective. I think he had a lot of missed layups at the rim that we would like to see him finish. But he did have that one play where he missed his own shot. He got blocked the second time, got his own rebound again, got the and one. That I think gave the Celtics a lot of momentum. So that was a great play from Keita. Jordan Walsh, big minutes, 33 minutes last night, 6 points, 8 rebounds, guarding the best player from the opposing team. So Jordan Walsh, the box score isn't going to wow you, but if you're watching the games, you're seeing the impact that he is making. And then lastly, off the bench, Hugo Garza. Again, another great game from him, showing you his scoring abilities in the paint and even knocking down 2 threes. So that's good to see him being able to stretch the floor for this team. That's been missing from our, big man position, obviously, this year. So Hauser was a disappointment, again, struggling to shoot the ball. Mine not only got 11 minutes, and Anthony Simons did not score last night in 11 minutes. But I think that's more of a positive than a negative. Seeing them pull out the win without Simons scoring the ball is honestly a good sign in my eyes. That pretty much covers it from all the box score perspective. Great team win. Got some guys to score off the bench like Garza. Showerman had a bucket as well. Good to see him get some minutes. So, our starters pretty much carried the load offensively, but that's not always a bad thing because we know like guys like Simons and hopefully Hauser will start hitting those shots coming up soon.
Yeah. And that's just nice to see that guys are just stepping up when they have to. You're not always going to have your guys. It's not always going to be Simon's night. It's not always going to be this guy's night. Everyone needs to be involved. Everyone needs to step it up. Everyone needs to find a way to make an impact no matter the game, right? So it's just next man up mentality. How are we going to win this game? And that's what the Celtics did.
I agree. I mean, and again, you guys already mentioned it. Like, you don't need Simons to have a good night to still pull out a win. Like, so that's the positive we're taking away from this too. But who do we have for Celtics Nation Rise MVP? Who are we voting?
I think it comes down to 2 guys for me, based off last night's game. Pritchard had a great game in that first half, but my vote's going to go to Jaylen Brown once again for the Celtics team. 33 points, had a huge second half, carried the load offensively for the Celtics in the fourth quarter. Without his fourth quarter performance scoring-wise, I don't think the Celtics pulled this game out based on how the Clippers were shooting the ball and the Celtics getting a little sloppy offensively. So my vote's going to go to JB once again.
Yeah, what about you, Andrew?
Yeah, it's JB, man. This guy is when we say MVP, we see the most valuable player on that court. And you take Jaylen Brown out of the equation and you're losing this game. So you got to give it to JB. I mean, he's the reason they won. He had crazy amount of rebounds, 13 rebounds on 33 points. So I mean, that's around that. That's just heart. That's putting your team on the back. That's the definition of saying, hey guys, let's go. We're not giving this lead up. I'm gonna take us to promised land. We're gonna get this win, no matter how it goes. So I'm definitely going JB, no doubt about it. Pritchard played well. Happy, that he's hitting his shots, but without JB, this game goes in an entirely different direction.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he played when it mattered most, and those 13 rebounds again. I feel like I'm looking at almost a carbon copy of Jason Tatum. I mean, it definitely helps to have Tatum out there 100%, but, Brown's really taking over those shoes in a manner that we kind of shake our head and say he's giving them solid minutes. It helped when both of them were on the court, but he's really filling the shoes, I have to say. But great efficient night. So 4 MVPs.
4 MVPs. We're giving Jaylen Brown another one. Yeah, See the
Sorry,
counter
God.
4 right there. He did it. I mean, another one. I mean, last year, what'd you say he had 3 or
No,
4?
he had 6.
He had
So
6 the whole season.
he had
So
6
he's
the
on
whole
pace
season.
to
So
beat that a lot. And I almost think he's going to. Jason Tatum had like 16 last year, but I almost think Jaylen Brown's
25.
25. Wow,
25, yeah.
25. But I
I
almost think Jaylen Brown's going to potentially beat JT in this race. I'm not going to lie, because
yeah.
it feels like I said, he has to put the guys on his shoulders a lot more than JT this year. And so I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah, and the leaderboard kind of looks like, so I think we have Pritchard has 1, Garza has 1, and Minot have 1, and then Brown has 4 now. So that's kind of what the leaderboard looks like. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we close this out?
Not much, really. Just I like to see them limit the fouls a little bit. Garza fouled out midway through the fourth, so if we can just limit our fouling and not let the teams get into bonus early in quarters, it'll help us kind of create that separation and not let it become a closer game down the stretch. But hopefully we can get these next 2 games against Brooklyn and get over 500.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think that it's not going to be a pretty season. That's all I got to say. It's not pretty. Not every game's going to be perfect, but I'm glad to see that they're continuing to show fight, because I think that that's something that no matter where you're at, you need to have that, whether at the bottom of the barrel or the top of the standings. Continue to show fight, continue to go all in every night, and good things are going to come your way, whether it's, whatever the standings looks like, whatever the record looks like. If you just go in, work hard, there's going to be positive things that are going to come your way, no matter which way you look at it.
Again, I think the motto we take from this, a win is a win, doesn't matter how pretty it is. But
Agreed.
with that being said, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Again, the Boston Celtics defeated the Clippers with a final score of 118 to 121. And we will see you guys for the recap against the Nets. So we will see you guys for the next one. Peace, guys.
Peace.